Hey everybody, this just keeps on happening. Okay, well, more Mayagate. Okay, so I'm going to start off slow before I get to the big news. Okay, so this is an interesting read I found on Twitter. This is out of some guy named Omisu Broiling. So according to Mr. Broiling, even though Tokusatsu has been on the air for 50 years, during that time it's constantly been dealing with complaints from parents, mostly over children copying the Rangers and getting hurt, falling out of trees, starting fights, doing stunts, etc., etc. I ironically do remember almost the exact same shit happening during my childhood in America when Power Rangers first got big in the US. The insight here, though, is it kind of directly explains how in the 50 years of Super Sentai, Sentai devolved from its original Ishinomori sci-fi creation, where it was basically a live-action take on Cyborg 009, a different take on Kamen Rider, where there were multiple heroes fighting together, to what it eventually became now, a more toyetic, child-friendly product that's kind of silly, with the adult elements progressively getting shaved down year by year, until it eventually became a completely smoothed-out product at this point. Although on the flip side, this does really excite me that if benching Super Sentai could lead to a possible grim and gritty Hideaki Anno Shin Go Ranger following Shin Kamen Rider, man, that would be really cool. That is kind of like my best case scenario in this scandal. Anyway, I wanted to lead off with that story today because it's been completely suppressed by the next bombshell in the Mayagate scandal. And here goes nothing. I kind of wanted to take off today.
この番組はヨランのスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Okay, here we go. All right, so this image started floating around Thursday. There was this image going around that, according to my original sources, was a press release announcing that Sumino on Gojuger was simply going to be recast. It does say that they're going to recast her as early as 38, which is contradicted by the later news. Anyway, I don't know, but a lot of people were saying that this was just a prediction generated by Grok or fake news or whatever. But I was overall down with it, and I had a pretty nice joke with my community yesterday that I was willing to put down money on this because I thought it was real enough. And arg, as it turns out, I would have won because here we go. Breaking news everywhere, but originally out of Toei, is that Maya Imamori has been fully recast on Gojuger, with the character of Sumino returning in episode 40, portrayed in these last 10 episodes by veteran Super Sentai actress Shida Kohaku, who unfortunately has to get a haircut to look like Sumino now. She normally rocks long hair, but... Okay, to break that all down, episode 37 is still butchered because it had a quick edit job. And we're waiting to see how bad episode 38 is, and as far as we know, the new episode 38 was the previously announced episode 39. So the original episode 38 with Maya is probably lost media, might always will be, but maybe they're eventually going to redo it with Kohaku and slide it into the lineup later. So anyway, then I guess the old episode 39 is becoming the new episode 40, and that's where Kohaku is going to take over. So that does leave 10 episodes left, or maybe 9. It really depends if they're going to go back and insert Kohaku into the original 38 or not, because then that preserves the 50 episode count. Because I know before Mayagate, Gojuger was supposed to have 50 episodes, because Goju means 50, so I want to say they're going to try really hard to stick to that and still hit that as like a goalpost. Anyway, so putting in Kohaku, putting in Oni's sister, is a massive strategic move on Toei's part. Shida Kohaku has always been one of the most reliable and popular Super Sentai actresses of the recent Reiwa era, and supposedly with her veteran skill set, she's super reliable in a pinch situation, like the pinch situation of doing all these crazy reshoots all of a sudden. Also, she is also the most popular Sentai actress of the Reiwa era, which is a good thing for many reasons. Many people are speculating that if the troll campaign against Sumino were to continue, hopefully people would back down just sheerly out of respect for Kohaku. Kohaku was also apparently viewed as a win-win for the pro-Sumino camp, because apparently Sumino is still on the show, and apparently Kohaku and Maya Imamori are actually friends in real life, so supposedly Maya would be approving of the switch off since they are friends in real life. I've even watched a couple of episodes of Dawn Brothers myself because I thought it was a standout Toku for its weird CGI characters that kind of look like Sonic. Now, we have a couple of people exploding over the news. Literally no one expected this to go down this way. Many people were expecting that they just fully like rewrite the show with like some crazy twist where they'd kill Sumino off or give her powers to her sister. Now, personally, I would have liked seeing that because I kind of like seeing shows write themselves out of like crazy corners like this, kind of like embrace the dark reality of the real life world we live in. But I guess that wasn't in the cards because at the end of the day, Super Sentai is a kid show, and because Sumino was literally the only good girl on the show, butchering her character like that probably would have really thrown off the tone of the show. But I don't know. The show also already killed the classic Red Ranger already, so I need to catch up exactly what went down there. So, it wasn't impossible for them to kill her off, but no, they're just recasting her with Kohaku, so that's where this has landed. Anyway, because of the bad reception of episode 37 and whatever the final episode 38 looks like, I guess this made the most sense to preserve the story and limit the editing going on, because now they can still probably show Sumino from behind with Maya's butt and her back of her head and all that. We had previously caught her head in episode 37 anyway. Anyway, so the show still has a few months left in it, and there's still the crossover movies with Boomboomger and all that, and all the previous episodes that are still up in the air in terms of reruns. So recasting Sumino, I kind of get it. It was kind of crucial to preserve what was already there in the original written story, as well as it might be necessary to retroactively reinsert Kohaku back into previous episodes. I wonder if they will redo Kohaku into episode 37. Everyone online pointed out that 37 is truly a damaged product, truly a damaged episode. Truly, you can see something wrong in episode 37 because there's just a random person doing the Goju Unicorn suit lines. So maybe at bare minimum, they'd have Kohaku go back and do those lines. I think they had one of the voice actresses who did the monster voices do the lines, but yeah. Bringing in Kohaku as the permanent replacement, it had to be done. I just see this as the only way they could move forward without fully fixing the Maya situation. This also solves the Blu-ray release problem that we were talking about last night. I'm still waiting to see if Blu-ray Volume 2 comes out exactly as planned on December 6th. But if it doesn't, I can only imagine that they're holding it back because they're probably going to try to deepfake Kohaku into the previous episode reruns. As crazy and as insane an effort as that would be, it seems like that's the only way they can do it now because they can't show Sumino anymore. Or they can't show Maya Imamori anymore. Oh, and following up yesterday's story about the destroyed Sumino merch, Toei has specifically been still selling merch of Sumino where she's drawn as an anime girl or a chibi, like the keychain up on the corner and the plushie, I guess. Now, the only thing that we know is specifically being destroyed is anything that specifically has the face of Maya Imamori on it, and that specifically seemingly plays into the recast news because Sumino is still going to be on the show, just not Maya Imamori. All right, well, I'm wrapping up then. All right, I was me and Buster Green. I assume this will be the last big news burst on this, but I will probably cover what actually goes down in episode 38, and I might stick around until they finally roll Kohaku into the story. And I guess I do want to solve these other mysteries about if they're also splicing her into the reruns. So there's still a lot of mysteries to be solved here, but yeah, this seems like it's just a swap out of the character at the end of the day. All right, thanks, guys.